Waldeck was a sovereign principality in the German Empire and German Confederation and, until 1929, a constituent state of the Weimar Republic. It comprised territories in present-day Hesse and Lower Saxony. On the map, the tiny northern red dot of land is Piedmont and the southern lands in red are Waldeck. History. Waldeck was a county within the Holy Roman Empire from about 1200. Its counts included Adolf II of Waldeck from 1270 to 1276. In 1655, its seat and the chief residence of its rulers shifted from the castle and small town of Waldeck, overlooking the Eder River and first mentioned in 1120, to Arolsen. In 1625, the small county of Piedmont became part of the county through inheritance. In January 1712, the Count of Waldeck and Piedmont was elevated to prince by Charles VI, Holy Roman Emperor. For a brief period, 1805 to 1812, Piedmont was a separate principality as a result of inheritance and partition after the death of the previous prince. But the two parts were united again in 1812. The independence of the principality was confirmed in 1815 by the Congress of Vienna, and Waldeck in Piedmont became a member of the German Confederation. From 1868 onward, the principality was administered by Prussia, but retained its legislative sovereignty. Prussian administration served to reduce administrative costs for the small state and was based on a 10-year contract that was repeatedly renewed, until Waldeck was formally absorbed into Prussia in 1929. In 1871, the principality became a constituent state of the new German Empire. In 1905, Waldeck in Piedmont had an area of 1,121 square kilometers and a population of 59,000. At the end of World War I, and during the German Revolution, resulting in the fall of all the German monarchies, the prince abdicated and Waldeck in Piedmont became a free state within the Weimar Republic. The princely house of Waldeck and Piedmont is closely related to the royal family of the Netherlands. The last ruling prince, Frederick, was the brother of Queen Consort Emma of the Netherlands. Castle Waldeck, Hesse. Arolsen Castle, Piedmont Castle, Friedrichshain Castle at Bad Wildungen, Eisenberg Castle near Corbich. Rulers of Waldeck and Piedmont. Reigning princes 1712, 1918, 1712, 1728. Friedrich Anton Ulrich, elevated 1712 to hereditary prince by Emperor Charles VI 1728 to 1763. Karl August 1763 to 1812. Friedrich Karl August 1812 to 1813. George I 1813 to 1845. George II 1845 to 1893. George Victor 1893 to 1918. Friedrich, abdicated 1918, brother of Queen Emma of the Netherlands. Non-reigning princes since 1918-1946. Friedrich 1946 to 1967. Josias 1967-present. Wittekind Karl Anton, hereditary Prince of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Josias of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Johannes of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Max of Waldecken, Piedmont, Prince Friedrich Karl of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Georg Victor of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Christian Ludwig of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Christian of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Victor of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Casimir of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Moritz of Waldecken, Piedmont, Prince Walrad of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Georg Wilhelm of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Josias of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Alexander of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Clemens of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince George Friedrich of Waldeck and Piedmont, Prince Philip Heinrich of Waldecken, Piedmont Prince Volkwin of Waldeck and Piedmont Prince Anton Ulrich of Waldeck and Piedmont Prince Nikolaus of Waldeck and Piedmont Prince Ludwig of Waldeck and Piedmont Prince Christian Peter of Waldeck and Piedmont Prince Georg Wilhelm Karl of Waldeck and Piedmont Prince Friedrich Karl of Waldeck and Piedmont Prince Max of Waldeck and Piedmont Prince Caspar of Waldeck and Piedmont Prince Christian of Waldeck and Piedmont. Military. Waldeck had raised a battalion of infantry in 1681, but for much of the subsequent history leading up to the Napoleonic Wars, Waldeckers generally served as mercenaries in foreign service. Such was the demand that the single battalion became two in 1740, 3 battalions in 1744, 4 in 1767, and in 1776 a third regiment was raised. Most notably, the foreign service was with the Dutch and English, the latter using them to suppress rebellions in the colonies. The 3rd Waldeck Regiment thus served during the American War of Independence, where they were known under the umbrella term used during that conflict for all Germans, Hessians. The regiment was captured by the Americans and only a small number returned to Germany, where some formed part of a newly raised 5th Battalion. By the time of Napoleon's conquest of Germany, the Waldeck regiments in Dutch service had been dissolved when, as the Batavian Republic, Holland was made into a kingdom ruled by Napoleon's brother Louis. Reduced to battalion strength, they now formed the 3rd Battalions of the 1st and 2nd Infantry Regiments of the Kingdom of Holland. The 5th Battalion was disbanded, and Waldeck was now also obliged to provide 2 companies to the 2 Battalion, 6th German Confederation Regiment in the service of the French Empire. As with all French infantry, they were referred to as Fusiliers. They served mainly in the Peninsular War against the Duke of Wellington. In 1812, the 6th Confederation Regiment was reformed, with 3 companies from Waldeck and 1 from Reuss, again forming the 2 Battalion. By the time of the downfall of the French Empire in 1814, the battalions in Dutch service had disappeared, but Waldeck now supplied 3 infantry and 1 Jaeger companies to the newly formed German Confederation. By 1866, the Waldeck contingent was styled Fürstliches Waldeckisches Fusilier-Bataillon, and in the Austro-Prussian War of that year Waldeck allied with the Prussians. However, the battalion saw no action, joining the North German Confederation after 1867, under Prussian leadership. The Waldeck Fusilier Battalion became the 3 Battalion of the Prussian Infantry Regiment von Wittich No. 83, and as such it remained until 1918. The position of regimental chef was held by the Prince of Waldeck and Piedmont. Unlike Hesse-Darmstadt, Hesse-Kassel retained no distinctions to differentiate them from the Prussian. The Waldeckers, however, were permitted the distinction of carrying the cockade of Waldeck on the Pickelhaube. The Waldeck Battalion was garrisoned, at various times, at Arolsen, Mengeringhausen, Helsen, Bad Wildungen, Bad Pyrmont and Warburg. The regiment saw action in the Franco-Prussian War of 1870, and during the First World War, as part of the 22nd Division, fought mainly on the Eastern Front.